Avatar fighting game is really something, huh? Obviously, in general, there's a lot of fighting games that are out and are coming out. And all these games are different sizes. You have the big ones like Tekken and Street Fighter. Then you have stuff like Fatal Fury, you have Guilty Gear. Obviously, sales wise, World Combat's still the top, which is kind of crazy. But while we all have those big games, those medium sized games, small games are starting to get bigger and bigger. And Avatar, I think, is like a huge moment, honestly. Because one, the game looks good. Like the animations they have shown for this game look really good. What's also kind of clear, it looks like it's made by a small team, you know? And that combination of like small team, big IP, that combination is like honestly a great thing for fighting games. This has happened a lot more in the mobile space. It's just kind of inevitable with the mobile space. But I think this speaks to how popular fighting games are right now. They are very big. It's a really big genre, and there's different slices of that everywhere. Like even old stuff, Dragon Ball Z Fighters, that game's been out between like two different Mortal Kombat games. And it's getting support. It's getting a new character, a new Goku. It's interesting how big of a genre this has become in recent times. And it's curious to see like what's going to happen with Virtua Fighter. How are all these games going to be together, Invincible versus 2XKO, like all these games together, like how much time is each of them going to have? How many people are going to gravitate towards like certain games? I think the nice thing with this Avatar game is one, it looks like pretty clear. It's going to be on the Switch too. I think that kind of level of play is kind of perfect. Like if they can port that to the PS4, I think that would be ideal, honestly. But yeah, I can see like audiences jumping to all these different games. It's just interesting like how everything's going to stack up in the coming years. This guy right here, this guy is fun as hell. This is my custom for Armor King, the newest character in Tekken 8. And I get the hype. I get why people have really loved this character for years. I think he's very interesting. I like how brutal he is. Like how everything wraps together. It feels very natural to play him in a lot of ways. Like I don't feel any need to like be like, what did I just do? What did I just do? Other than like some grab stuff and things like that. But like when you press his buttons, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. This goes into this. This goes into this. This goes into this, and it feels very natural to him. The Mishima stuff, I gotta get my head around, but I know I can get there. I think it's interesting because it's like very clear that it's useful, but I don't see anything, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see anything where it's like it needs to be a perfect or anything like that. But overall, I'm having a really fun time with this guy. I'm very excited to continue playing him. Um, I think Sea Viper is out really soon, and Mary Jo for Tekken 8 too is almost out. So yeah, we've been feasting. It's been a good time with the video games. Okay, this being the set list, Chris Jericho is done. Chris Jericho's had his cruise. What is this, the seventh one? And for a good while, we've had a lot of AEW wrestlers be on that cruise. There was even an episode of Dynamite that was filmed on that cruise. Okay, what is very notable about this list to the left of me, there is no AEW talent. Obviously, we also got Jeff Hardy right there. We got Saraya, Jeff, who is part of WWE, to tangentially, and Saraya, who has mentioned that she would like to be part of them again. Obviously, the Great Muta, he's just a legend. He's getting a check. But I do think Nick Namath, Bully Ray, all these people who either one have a relationship with TNA or WWE proper, I think it's kind of inevitable to say that I think Chris is probably vying for him being separate from AEW, which is something for me I think is positive for both parties. I think Chris at this point, he needs to reimagine himself again. I think WWE would be the best place for him. And I think AEW needs to clean off the relationship with Chris Jericho because his character has been so lackluster in the last 2 years. But yeah, this is pretty telling. I think I'll be interested to see what Chris is doing in WWE. I'm watching AEW consistently, so I'm interested in what they're doing. But I think we can safely speculate probably show up Royal Rumble. Maybe earlier for John. I don't think so. Like a rabid chimp is not a serial killer. There's this movie coming out called Primate. It's about like a rabid chimp, a horror movie. Chimp becomes a serial killer. That's not really what rabies does, though. Okay, that's that's not what rabies does. Obviously, it makes them more aggressive. It makes the animal in question way more aggressive, but it's also just causing massive brain damage. Okay, they can have like seizures. They can, just be like shaking there. It's not just like, oh my god, this is a zombie out to get you. And I get it, like rabid animals, they really do feel like the closest we got to actual zombies in this world that we live in. But I mean, if you've been around a rabid animal like ever, it's not necessarily like that. It's definitely dangerous. It's really, really fucking dangerous. But I don't know. It's just like it's not gonna come out and be a serial killer chimpanzee, okay? And look, I get it. Killer chimpanzee. That's a funny premise at the end of the day. That's a good premise for a dumb horror movie. I just think sometimes like our relationship with Hollywood and animals is like, okay, this doesn't really seem right. It's kind of how I felt about Cocaine Bear, along with Cocaine Bear being kind of boring. But you know what? Maybe Primate will be entertaining. We'll see. Okay, WWE AI Booker is freaking wild. It's been reported that WWE has now hired an AI Booker to help with writing. That supposedly they're going to go in an AI focus with graphics and shit like that. And on one hand, this seems kind of inevitable for two reasons. One has been the TKO posturing politically. That's just kind of how it's been. Like TKO overall has had a right leaning slant. I think also the Saudi Arabia deal, et cetera, et cetera. But the other aspect of WWE that has been true for like a long time is they are pioneers in the media landscape. And there are plenty of times that has failed them miserably. I think of a more recent failure, the NFTs, they were huge into those for a good bit. And of major, companies, I think they were kind of honestly a little bit ahead of the curve. But in successes, the WWE network was one of the smartest moves they could have done for themselves. Like lowering the price of pay-per-views to $10 and you get everything else was a brilliant move to bring a lot of people into WWE. And continuing to do that, even with Peacock and Netflix and all that stuff, they've always been on the forefront of like trying to move forward, okay? Not always good. And that's kind of the thing with this AI thing is like, I'm not shocked that they are trying to do AI because they are always trying to push for new shit. That being said, it sounds like a failure that I would expect. Again, according to reporting, it pitched an idea of Bobby Lashley returning with a like weeb gimmick, which Bobby Lashley is part of AEW. Why would they want to do that? Like that's not even close to what I would assume Bobby Lashley would be at all. Shelton Benjamin, maybe you could pull that, but like Bobby Lashley, what? But yeah, this looks like it's gonna be a total failure. It'll be interesting for the next couple months and weeks how this goes. I am not looking forward to the graphics that they're talking about, but I've also had my issues with their normal 3D graphics. The big time backs will forever live in my nightmares. So it's not great. We'll see how this goes.